Okay, so RJ Barrett's extension came through at the exact second that I posted a video about the MVP award for next season, so that's cool. But the money here is 120 million over 4 years, and that is up to 120 million to be exact. There are incentives in there based on all-star appearances, all NBA team appearances, all defense teams as well. That comes from Ian Begley, which means what is the base salary of this thing? Like, I don't know. That's not out at the moment, but if we can speculate that it is, let's say, give or take 25, 26 million a year, I mean, that's a comparable deal to Julius Randle, John Collins, Jalen Brunson, DeMar DeRozan as well. I think you can find some varying opinions on RJ Barrett right now. There was also a thing that Woj was mentioning about how this affects the Donovan Mitchell trade. We can get into that in a second, but I just want to talk about RJ. So to me with RJ, it's mainly the three ball and the finishing at the rim. Because the thing is, like, he can get downhill. I mean, you watch him operate off of a screen, and he'll have these moments where it looks good. You know, he will be going up against a dropping big, and maybe he'll get a Euro step out of it, or he will just contort his body just enough to where it's a pretty looking layup and all that, or sometimes there will be more contact around the rim that he can deal with. And then other times it's like that same sort of attempt can look a little awkward, and it just doesn't go in, as basic as that sounds. Last season, he shot 55% in the restricted area, about 30% in the paint, but not right at the rim. Those numbers just simply need to be better. But another part of this is I think the Knicks offense has not done him as much favors as it really could. I mean, sometimes their spacing is just kind of bad. Just call it what it is. And I don't think it's always the most layered offensive scheme. I think that's one way to put it. It also doesn't help when Julius Randle's body language and all that is not very good. But they do have Jalen Brunson now, and the hope is that he can create more open looks for these guys. I mean, RJ, his three ball this season was 34%, but his catch and shoots were 36%, so a little better on those. I just feel like with RJ, it's got to be a combination of getting a little more savvy around the rim, and whether that is some James Harden-esque Euro steps that he can master, or perhaps, like, do we want him putting on a few more pounds and doing a Jimmy Butler impersonation? I mean, you know, Jimmy's of a similar height to RJ, similar game, trying to get downhill, but Jimmy's just bigger. So as a result, he can handle more contact, and maybe that's got to be the route for RJ, just like getting more trips to the line. I mean, he crept up to almost 6 free throws a game this previous season. And again, he can get downhill. And then defensively, I mean, if you were going to draw up the ideal wing player to be awesome on defense, RJ would pretty much be it between his height, his wingspan, and I think he can have moments where he's like really overwhelming defensively with his size and all that, or maybe he'll get a steal and then he gets out in transition or whatever. The signs are all there. It's just more so, does it happen all the time and all that. I mean, now as far as the Knicks overall, I mean, look, they have now committed a whole bunch of money to RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, and Julius Randle. And so you are hoping that the highs of Brunson in the playoffs for Dallas are mostly real. No, you're not going to get, didn't he have like a 40-point game against the Jazz or whatever? Like, you can't expect that all the time. You got to hope that Julius's contested shot making gets a little bit back to what it was his first year with you. And it would also, again, help if the offense was just had a little more going on sometimes, but besides just like, let's run another pick and roll up top. And, you know, RJ's got to make the improvements where I'm talking about. Now let's talk about this other part of it, which was weird how quickly Woj pivoted away from the RJ extension into what this means for Donovan Mitchell in the trade. Apparently there was a deadline on Monday night and all that, which is kind of weird because it seemed like the vibe was that RJ wasn't involved in the trade talks, but based on the language here, I guess he kind of was or something. I don't know what to do there. Like, should we just remove the idea of, it could be like 4 or 5 picks and then, you know, between Obi, Quickly, Quentin Grimes, McBride, whatever it might be. Is that still possible, or are we just out on that now? Because I was under the impression that that's kind of where we were going anyway. Does that report about the likelihood of the Lakers getting in on a move, does that matter within this? Like, I'm just surprised. Like, I just thought RJ was kind of off the table. I don't know, but I guess they're going to continue their talks around the draft picks and the young guys. And just one random thing. Depending on how many of those young dudes the Knicks would have to move if the deal ends up happening for Mitchell, are they going to have a bench after the trade's over? I mean, I get it. You're getting Mitchell, but like, you still need an actual rotation. Who knows, man? But also, I mean, Mitchell Robinson's also under a new deal as well. His contract is descending, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, the Knicks have committed a bit to the team that they've got. And I mean, where do I predict them in the East right now? I mean, I think the top four with the Celtics, Bucks, Sixers, and Heat in whatever order you want, that's pretty solid. The Nets are in some spot of their own right now, which is if it goes well, they're right at the top as well. The Raptors, the Bulls. I, of course, love the Cavs front court and Darius Garland as well. The Hawks should be good. The East is going to be pretty damn competitive among teams that are looking to not fall into the play-in tournament, and I think the Knicks are in that group.